Now, after I left Morris Communications, I went and worked at this really beautiful newspaper company called the World Company that owns the Lawrence Journal-World. Lawrence Journal is a very small newspaper, about 19,000 circ, but its owner, Doll Simons, is one of nature's noblemen. And in Lawrence, Kansas, there's nothing more important than KU basketball. In the 50s, the University of Kansas got this very famous recruit by the name of Will Chamberlain. At that time, freshmen couldn't start. So the Kansas legislature quickly approved building a new arena so that there would be a place to watch and play that would hold enough people. So in the 50s, they built a 17,000-seat arena. And since that time, it's been sold out. The only way you could ever hope to get tickets to a KU basketball game was if back in the 50s, your grandparents got those tickets. And then when they died, they passed them on to your parents. And then when your parents died, they gave them to you. So there's going to be 2 generations of death involved in going to a KU basketball game. And a new athletic director came to Lawrence a couple of years ago, and he said, you know what, that's not how it's going to be anymore. We're going to reseat the entire arena. We're going to let different people to have an opportunity to have tickets. And we're going to do it based upon a point system. And how many points you have will be determined by how much money you will donate to the University of Kansas. And this was very controversial. It was the lead story in our newspaper. But at its core, this is a much better internet story than it was a print story. Because the way they were figuring out the points was very complicated. There were like 11 questions, and each question was weighed differently based upon even if you were a graduate. So how the points were figured, it was very complicated. So we quickly put together a calculator where if you answered our questions, we could tell you how many points you had. And this calculator was so accurate, the University of Kansas began using this calculator to figure out the points. It was that good. So once you knew how many points you had, you could go to our seating chart. And then you could click on what level of points you were closest to. And then we would show you where your new seats were going to be in Allen Fieldhouse. Now this is a much better internet story. I mean, no matter how eloquent your writer is, he or she's not going to be able to explain it the way we just did it. Answer 10 questions, and we're going to tell you where you're going to sit. As a matter of fact, so say you're like, oh my gosh, my family's had season tickets here in J for 30 years, and now we're moving to 6A. And what does 6A even look like? Well, you could click on 6A, and we would show you the view of the court from those seats. Now, we did not invent this technology in Lawrence, Kansas, but I believe in my heart we perfected it. We call this technology internology. And internology is where you get an intern, preferably from the University of Missouri, and you make that intern set in 16,000, 17,000 seats with a digital camera, and then you put it on your website. Now, when the University of Kansas did this, they didn't do a big press conference or a media conference to announce this. Instead, what they did was they mailed season ticket holders and kind of the richest people in Kansas who could afford to do all of this. Well, as luck would have it, our publisher happened to be both of those 2 things. So we said, hey, did you get that mailing from the University of Kansas? He said, oh, I did. Could we have it? He said, sure. So we scanned it in so everybody could read it. And we found out later the University of Kansas was very happy that we helped them disseminate this information, get it out in front of the masses. So this was a much better internet story. We were able to give light to it, explain how it worked, and in a way that our words in print never could have. So this is how we would cover a story every day at the Lawrence Journal-World. We would decide about what is the story that we're going to tell in this sort of format. And every day we would work very hard to do this. So one of my favorite things that our team ever built while we were in Lawrence was something called GAME. And the idea behind GAME was we were going to cover children's baseball and softball like they were the New York Yankees. And by this time, our web team was starting to get kind of, I don't know, had some notoriety, and especially academics. So lots of textbooks were writing about our team's online journalism. So when we would post that we were going to have an internship, we would have several people apply. And for this particular internship, we were going to hire 2 kids. And we had 150 students apply from the best journalism schools in the country. And we ended up picking 1 kid who was a master's grad student, honor student from Berkeley. And then for quality reasons, we got a kid from the University of Kansas. And I gotta tell you, there is nothing more rewarding to an editor than making an honors master's grad student from Berkeley cover T-ball. I mean, it will make you happier than anything you've ever done in your life as an editor. And so So we built these, we were covering these games for T-ball, 5-year-olds up to 15-year-olds. We had our programmers build a database where we tracked every child's game, every team's game. If you want to know everyone who's playing at a particular field, here's every game that's at that field. If you want to see what the field looks like, here's a steerable 360-degree photo of that field. If this is your child's team, you can click on and get your child's schedule. You can click one link, with one click, you can have this schedule moved over to your Microsoft Office or your Palm so that your child's schedule is with you. Or you can say, see this get cancellation alerts? You can click on that and you give us your phone number down here. And every day at 3 o'clock, we have these 2 interns call every league to find out what games have been canceled. They would toggle it in a database, and the database would begin calling all of the parents on their cell phones. So we were doing text message alerts to parents to tell them that their child's T-ball game had been canceled. We began using text messaging for everything, because text messaging is powerful. If you don't use it, you should. Watch a cell phone commercial and tell me if they don't have what their text messaging plan is. Just because all of our hairlines look like this, and we don't know what text messaging does, our readers do, and they use it like crazy. You hang around a college student for about 10 minutes, and you will realize this is the most important device that they own. They don't have a watch, because this is their watch. They get their email on here. They don't have an alarm clock, because this is their alarm clock. Their whole life is centered around this phone. They text message each other all day. You go to a 3-hour class now at a university, they no longer have bathroom breaks. They have mobile phone breaks. This is an important device. So, and there are way more people in the United States with these than these. Yet we're focused so much on the web, when I believe in my heart we ought to be focused on this. And I'll give you lots of reasons why. Anyway, sorry about the ramble there.